Hey everybody, I'm the Ranting Monkey, and with me today is Ranthony. Say hi, Ranthony.
Hi, Ranthony.
For those of you who are unfamiliar with Ranthony, Ranthony, what's your channel about? You're a YouTube creator here. What do you do?
I'm just a guy, a political commentator thing.
Where do you fall on the political spectrum?
Conservatarian,
Hmm.
egalitarian, anti-feminist,
Um,
anti-SJW, whatever you want to call
right, right.
it.
Right before we started, you were telling me about verified liberals.
Yeah, I
Um,
was. Well, because a while ago, while we were just chatting beforehand, Monkey had asked me what I was working on, and I said, well, I have been trying to figure out something about verified liberals, which is this notion that Twitter has been verifying people and then making sure that they're basically verifying that they're liberals so that when they respond to Donald Trump, their comments are going to be some of the first ones there. And I haven't really found any evidence to suggest that they've just picked random people. Most of these individuals are journalists or CEOs or former CEOs or something of note, and that's why they have a check mark. So they do have check marks for legitimate purposes. But I do kind of agree that they deliberately screen to make sure that every one of Donald Trump's tweets has a negative or a lot of negative responses just at the very top. So if you scroll through the replies, that's all you're going to see.
well, it seems like getting verified as a liberal is a lot easier anyway.
Yeah, I would agree.
Tariq Nasheed,
Uh,
that piece of shit. I was talking with Jeff Holiday about him last night. He's fucking verified. This is a racist, homophobic piece of shit, and he's verified, but he's on the right side of the political spectrum.
yeah.
So,
I mean, I will give it to Tariq Nasheed. He is a. I mean, I believe he has a lot of followers. I don't know. I have to look, but he is a person of note. He isn't just some random dude off the street. He did make this stupid documentary. I forget what it's called, but it was like the top documentary in the Amazon something something. I don't know. He did something important allegedly. So he's not just some random dude that they're like, oh hey you, let's give you a check mark. You're saying the right things. However, on the other hand, like you said, the way he acts. I mean, if you're going to ban Milo, for fuck's sake, everything Tariq Nasheed says, in my opinion.
yes, exactly. Milo was verified at one point, but he went too far right, and there is nothing that, in my opinion, nothing Bunty said. For those of you who don't know, Bunty King got banned from Twitter for an exchange with Tariq Nasheed. Tariq Nasheed is a black supremacist.
Oh, and his Twitter bio calls himself a Constitution advocate.
Oh, fuck him. Fuck him.
Oh, that hurts me in my soul. Oh.
But he was calling Bunty King, who is of Indian descent, a supremacist, and it got heated, and the one who got banned was Bunty, and it's a bunch of shit. Twitter has a very left-leaning bent to it. Anyhow, how you been, dude? We haven't talked in a long time.
No, we haven't. I've been all right. It's been hard to try and keep up with everything. Things get depressing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like we talked about terrorism just a little bit here. It's like, oh, so much shit, so much negativity from Europe in particular. I just feel like, oh God, it's all going to come here, and there's nothing we can do to help them. It's hard.
Well, we on our nightly streams we do news before we do anything else, and the last 2 days it's just been so fucking depressing.
You know what? To me, it's been depressing since Manchester.
Yeah.
Maybe even before then. It's just not. There has not been any good news coming out of Europe to me.
Well, even usually we at least have one story we can laugh at, and we do get a few of those here and there, but the weight of the big stories. 2 nights ago, we had the attack in London, where the guy ran over Muslims, and fuck him for doing so.
Fuck him for doing so.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just been really depressing the last 2 days, and I'm really hoping tonight we have a better story, like something ridiculous.
That's one of the reasons I'm a big fan of Steven Crowder. Mug Club, #Mug Club. And that's one thing he always does, is he always tries to keep it light, and that I appreciate, because it's hard. It is really hard just to have a constant, steady stream of
Yeah.
nothing is changing, nothing is getting fixed, is what it feels like from Europe. From us, I think we're doing okay, but from Europe, it makes me sad.
Yeah. Europe makes me sad. Um,
Put that on a t-shirt. Yeah.
last time we talked, you were still in school. Are you still in school?
Oh yeah, I'm still in school. Got another year to go.
How's that going?
Internships and stuff. Oh, fine. It's summer. I don't think about that shit right now.
So you're on break? No
Yeah.
summer classes?
No summer classes.
Remind me what you're studying.
Criminal justice. Gonna go on to law school, I hope.
Cool. Maybe you'll be a senator someday. Senator Ranthony on the
Senator
Ranting Monkey Show. Oh, you'll have to disavow me at that point.
Oh yeah, I'll have to forget I've ever known anybody. I don't want to be associated with these white supremacist Nazis.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to run on a Democrat platform, I'll be the next Hillary Clinton.
Man, yeah, that just I had a question and that just fucked me all up.
Oh,
no, it's good. It's good. Oh yeah, you did a hangout with a MGTOW recently.
I did.
I keep meaning to watch it and I haven't yet, and I do apologize for it, because I wanted to see how that went, because you are probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Oh, well,
and you are, you really are. If you ever got mad, I think I would just, I wouldn't know how to take it. And
don't watch too. I have a video where I get very, very mad. I did it
really?
because somebody had asked me for, like, one of my patrons had asked me for it, and I was like, you know what? Okay, sure, why not? And I didn't like get mad deliberately. It was a video I had made, and then I was like, no, this is just too much. I didn't want to upload it, and then he wanted me to, so I was like, okay, all right, I'll do it. It's about consent, and I was very angry. I can get mad.
So
with people.
The MGTOW.
It went fine. It wasn't like it was a MGTOW debate or anything like that. It was just, I had run into him on a Facebook group, and I said, well, you know what? I've been wanting to learn more about MGTOW. I don't really understand it. I don't have a very good opinion of it, but maybe you can change that. And I mean, he's a very, very nice guy. And of course, he's not the angry MGTOW. He's not the mayor of MGTOwn. We talked about those individuals. We talked about the fact that they're basically crazy as shit, and that they don't represent MGTOW. But I still didn't walk away with a feeling that MGTOW as a group is necessary.
Yeah, I have several MGTOWs who watch my show every night. They get mad when I talk about MGTOW because I talk about the crazies.
Well, that's easy to do.
It is, because they're the loud ones. They're the ones who are making a splash. They're the ones that if MGTOW ever catches on, if it ever hits mainstream media in the news somewhere, it's not going to be your level-headed, I just don't want to get married kind of guy. It's going to be angry MGTOW.
Right.
And I do think it's worth it to talk about them. Thank you, Point Curation. Karen Strawn is how you say that, right?
Yep, Karen Strawn.
Karen Strawn and Feminist Keck are good channels for hearing about MGTOW. Yeah, I like Karen. She's just a little dry for me. I take her in spurts. I'll like binge watch a couple of videos and then not think about it for a month.
I've never heard of Feminism Keck, but Karen is definitely one of my favorite YouTubers. Yeah, I agree with you there. The first time I heard about her, and I'm like, how does this woman have this many views? It is so boring. And then later I came back to it and I watched, and I was like, oh my God, it's boring maybe, but it's absolutely enlightening.
Yeah.
She's so good. And yeah, she's kind of I don't want to call her a MGTOW ally, but that's the gist of what she is when it comes to MGTOW. She was talking about MGTOW not too long ago regarding some comments that Jordan Peterson had made. And yeah, that did have me thinking somewhat, because it is MGTOW is more significant in an organization than just the angry MGTOW, and I think that's something a lot of people don't quite get. You know.
Well, for me, I think MGTOW is giving up, and I've said this to the nice MGTOWs too. It's giving up, and that's why if you're feeling the whole MGTOW vibe, I feel men's rights is a better place to go, because
Absolutely.
they actually advocate something. If you think everything is wrong, the answer isn't to give up, take your ball, and go home.
Right.
Sorry, take your balls and go home. It's to get in there and force change. We absolutely have a problem in many parts of the country where men get screwed by family courts. That's undeniable.
Right.
And the answer to that is, well, I'm never going to have kids. It's we need to change that.
Well, one of the things that his name was Naroki, I had him on my channel. One of the things that he said is, well, I'm a MGTOW and a men's rights activist. And I said, well, I can appreciate that, but I don't quite understand the one. Like he was pointing out, like you said, I just don't want to get married. And it's like, okay, you don't have to get married. That doesn't mean you have to join this organization of quote unquote men going their own way. That doesn't mean you have to affiliate with crazy fucks like the ranting. Jesus, I can't think. Almost like the ranting monkey, that crazy asshole. No,
Angry MGTOW. Yeah. Well, for me, that's the other thing. They get so mad if you start talking about people like Angry MGTOW. It's like, look, if this doesn't apply to you, it doesn't fucking apply to you.
Right.
But there are people like that out there, and they're the loud voices. They're the ones being heard. Legend MGTOW in chat says he's MGTOW and MRA. I get how you can be both, because MRA is not, I don't want to say anti-woman, but they're not anti-woman, where MGTOW tends to be. And I don't mean that in, ooh, women have cooties. It's, I don't want to get married. I don't want to risk my resources. So I understand. I understand how you can be both. I just think MGTOW is giving up.
Well, I get the individual aspect of MGTOW and hell as a libertarian thing. I'm all for it. You don't want to get married, you don't get married. You don't want to have children, don't have children. You don't want to be with women anymore, don't be with. I don't give a shit. It's not my business. And if you want to call yourself MGTOW, you're more than welcome to. What I don't understand, however, is MGTOW as a group, and nobody has been able to make me understand this. If it's just a bunch of individual men going their own way, then why is there this group, quote unquote, of MGTOW? Why is there this MGTOW movement? And if there is a movement, what is it trying to achieve? And that's a question that Naroki was really not able to answer for me.
I can answer it for you, but don't call it a movement. They get mad. They get mad if you call it a movement. What it is they're going their own way, but it's not a separatist. I'm my own individual guy. Thank you, Point Curation again. MGTOW. MGTOW going their own way. I love my audience. These guys are funny as shit. The idea is it's men going their own way, but it's not necessarily each individual man going their own way. They're learning from each other so that they can individually go their own way, if that makes sense. It's kind of a brain tease.
That makes a little more sense. The other thing I've learned is don't compare it to feminism. No matter how close it is to feminism, they get mad.
Yes. Well, the more fringe aspects of it absolutely are. I mean, they will even use the same arguments. And again, hashtag not all, but your fringe group there absolutely is doing that, guys.
Right. Oh yeah. There's a little bit of a fight in the chat over MGTOW, and I get it. It's like MGTOW are a disgrace, and like, no, come on, don't be like that. First of all, there are a lot worse people on the planet than MGTOW.
Yeah.
Secondly, if it is, they're just going their own way, and if they aren't, the angry MGTOW, whatever, leave them alone. What difference does it make what they do?
Yeah.
To me, that's how I feel about the MGTOW.
The last time I tangled with him, it was because of SDA being on Angry MGTOW. She did a live stream with him, and he was just a cunt to her. He was horrible. And she eventually gave the link to the stream to Jeff Holiday. who had been asking for it. She didn't ask him to come save her. He had been begging for it, and she'd finally taken enough shit. She's like, sure, come on in. And I might have gotten the link and might have told him I fucked his mother. But
well, there is
my problem.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said my problem has never been the idea of going your own way. That's fine. Like you said, it's none of my fucking business.
Right.
When you push it out there as an ideology, though, especially to the extreme, yeah, I might say something the way I would when feminists say stupid shit.
And just as I would say that feminists are very, very frequently misandric, I would say that MGTOW, maybe not as a whole perhaps, but many, many of them are legitimate misogynists. It really bothers me to hear some, statements. Who were they talking about? I had a MGTOW in the chat during that who said something like some men's rights activist female. I don't think it was Karen, but it might have been Karen. She's just trying to she's just doing this for male attention or
yes,
something.
I've seen that.
She's not a real activist. It's like, bitch, she's done more for men than you ever fucking had, you little asshole.
Yes.
But that kind of attitude I get all the time, and from various MGTOW, and that's what really bothers me is when you start attacking people who, especially when they're people who legitimately are on your side. That's not okay. That's not cool.
Well, like Angry MGTOW had his whole series where he went through every popular anti-feminist YouTuber and called them feminist. Like, no, that's retarded. Stop it. Yeah, but I didn't want to make this all about MGTOW. Again, if you're just a chill MGTOW who's living your life, more power to you. If you're an asshole like Angry MGTOW, you might want to get some mental help. We were talking about how depressing Europe is. Do you think it can be saved at this point, or are we going to have to go in there with our guns blazing again and save their civilization, a la World War II?
I don't know. I've been thinking about that. I don't know. I think France is fucked. If we just go country by country, I think France is probably unsavable at this point. Germany's probably unsavable at this point. I just not now, not anymore. They're too much of the electorate at this point to overcome. And Britain is on the cusp, and Brexit has a lot to do with the reason why they're doing okay. Their recent election was all right. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible.
Oh, I felt so bad for them. May seemed like a good choice until she started talking about internet. Maybe British politicians.
I'm worried about her.
Oh my God. What a dumpster fire that election was. I don't think it turned out horrible for him either, but because basically nothing changed. There was a little bit, a minor power dynamic change. They had to get the Irish folks in to help them maintain their control.
Mm-hmm.
But the conservatives are still in control over there. But why would you call for an election that you didn't know you could absolutely win? There was no reason for it. Just made her look stupid.
I don't know. She's certainly no Marine Le Pen. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I just screwed my own question there. I hate when I do that. You have to excuse me. I'm on so many drugs, and my mind is not where it used to be.
It's all right.
So were you in favor of Brexit? You think that's a good thing?
Yes. That's the only thing. That and the fact that they have no land border with the rest of Europe is about the only reason that Britain is okay. Now, I have a crazy, distant thought about World War III because I think it probably will happen at some point. I don't know even whether the United States will be involved in it. I think that a lot of what we do now when it comes to our relations with Russia in particular, because I think Russia is going to yet again be a big power in that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll decide whether or not we're going to be involved in that war. But I think that we're eventually going to have to almost recapture Europe from radical Islam. And I think that that's going to be led by the East. It's going to be led by the Eastern Europe and by China and Japan and Russia and the nations that haven't succumbed to Islam, because there's going to come a point where Islam is going to try and spread into nations where it's not welcome. And when that happens, then things are, a lot worse, I think, very quickly. Or we're just all going to fucking lose. That's the other possibility.
I'm glad you said that, because it reminded me of what I wanted to say. The problem for me is not immigration. Same with the United States. It's not an issue of immigration. It's an issue of bringing in people who don't believe in your values.
Right. It's not immigration. It's assimilation.
Yes, exactly. I've never heard it put that way. That's awesome. Yeah, it's about assimilation. And there is nothing wrong with expecting people who come to your country to assimilate. That's actually the reason they should be coming. They shouldn't be coming to take a MGTOW line to take your resources. They should be there because they want to be part of your country. And that's just not happening, especially with the refugees. And let's be honest, a lot of these refugees are not refugees. They're just
a lot.
They're not.
I would go with like over 90%, if not 99% of them, and I think these numbers are even verifiable. That the vast majority of these individuals, I mean, the refugee at this point is just a farcical term. It doesn't mean anything, because it allegedly started as we're accepting refugees from Syria and because of ISIS, and then turned into, oh sure, let's just take literally everybody who wants to come in here.
Yes. And have you taken a look at what they've done to their own countries?
Mm-hmm.
They're shitholes.
They are.
Anytime you talk about the Middle East, like, have you ever been there? Like, no. Like, well, there's places in Saudi Arabia that are really nice. Yeah, some. Very small. I mean, when you go to a small town in the United States, you're still going to get running water, and all your amenities are still going to be there. That's not true in the third world, guys.
Right. Well, I mean, not just the third world, too. A lot of people look at Mexico, right? They look at when you say, "Oh yeah, I've been to Mexico," oh yeah, you went to fucking Cancun. That doesn't count. That's a terrorist.
Yes.
That's a terrorist organization. Anthony, wake the hell up! My goodness, it's a tourist attraction. It's a terrorist. Oh my god, it's a tourist attraction. It's a tourist town. Of course, it's going to be lovely. The rest of the country is a shithole. South Africa is the same way. Oh yeah. I went to Johannesburg and we had a tour group and da. Oh well, yeah, okay, sure. You didn't. You had fucking bodyguards and were protected and shit. You were there. That doesn't make it a good place to be.
That's a good segue into the next thing I want to talk about. The same thing can be said of North Korea. There was that one YouTuber, I forget his name, who went over there and vlogged it all, and it looked like this paradise and everything was great, and there's dancing children. Like, yeah, because you went on the propaganda tour.
Right.
If you go over there just by yourself, you might end up like Otto, I forget how to say his last name. The kid who just Yes, thank you. Who just came back brain dead and actually died yesterday.
Yeah.
I had a debate with a communist yesterday.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching.
Who actually told me North Korea is not fascist. I was asking him because he really thinks North Korea should have nuclear weapons, because if they don't have them, the United States is going to invade. Like, it's been 60 fucking years. We would have done it already.
Is this really guy like conscious?
I
Korea's not fascist. What? Okay. All right.
Yeah. When he said that, I about lost my shit, because I asked him, name the countries where, or name what would make it so you wouldn't want people to have nukes. And his answer, one of his answers was, if they have a fascist government. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? And somebody may have found the answer, because he told me part of being fascist is being capitalistic. Like, no, that's not even in the definition anywhere. And somebody found a definition where it says, number one, usually capitalized, meaning the F in fascism, not capitalistic. That's the best I can come up with where he got, you have to be capitalist to be fascist. But yeah, it was a fun debate for me. A lot of people are like, why would you do this? Like, it was fun.
Yeah,
And guys, I do.
debates are fun. We talked about that the last time we had a chat on my channels. We have fun, you know, arguing about stuff.
It's why I make videos. Those are basically debates in video form.
Fair enough. And we have someday, at least, we still have to do our drug debate.
We can talk about that now if you'd like.
Sure, why not? I don't remember exactly what position everybody was taking, but that was a while ago. But
in that debate, you were basically on the side of legalization, and you talked to a guy who changed your mind. And I don't remember what changed your mind, but I am a legalization guy. I believe basically all drugs should be legal.
Well, I have been. So at first I was on the position of I don't want any drugs to be legal. And that's back in like 2012, 2013, whatever, when I, you know, 2010 even. And and that's how I've slowly morphed from calling myself a conservative to calling myself a conservatarian, because I've been moving more libertarian on a lot of issues, including, like, I used to be opposed to the legalization of prostitution. Now I'm for it, et cetera, et cetera. And so drugs are one thing. And in that debate, I was saying, all right, well, listen, you know what, from a libertarian perspective, I can't come up with a really good reason as to why all drugs shouldn't be legalized. We have personal freedom. You have the right to do what you want to do in this country, as long as you know, take personal responsibility for it. And then I had a debate about the drugs with Forensic TV. I forget exactly what drugs he was willing to legalize, but he was not in favor of legalizing all drugs. So we debated, and yeah, he did. He changed my mind on harder drugs. I'm still questioning some of the softer stuff. Heroin, even, well, that's what I mean. We're talking like heroin and being soft. Okay, I know, but
no, I would agree. It is a soft drug. It's not like PCP.
Right, and that's where I was with it. PCP, for example, or crystal meth, were drugs that he convinced me, yeah, all right, I could see why you would keep them illegal, because there comes a point where you're going to hurt other people simply by taking the drug. And that was where it came down, is okay, now once you've started violating other people's rights, you don't have the right for you know, legalization. And real quick, yes, I would argue heroin is a hard drug in comparison to marijuana, but when we did our just responding to the chat, but when we did our debate, we kind of put different drugs on a spectrum from soft to hard, and heroin ends up on the softer end, as in, it's like you said, it's not PCP. So.
Yeah, it doesn't generally cause people to freak out and harm others. It's more of a mellow high.
And there is an aspect, of course, with any drug, and I mean, this can be true with alcohol. There is an aspect of, well, I need it, so I'm going to go kill somebody to get it.
Yes.
And of course that's there, but like I said, that's there for alcohol too, and we keep alcohol legal. You know, that's there for not even alcohol, that's there for or cigarettes. You know, people will kill because they want something.
What I think should happen, one, I don't agree with saving people from themselves. I really don't. If you do, that's fucking Darwinism right there. The strongest shall survive. I would like to see drug houses maintained by the government, not your crack house on the street. But where you would go if you want to get high, and that's where you can do it, where it's legal. You can go into a room for however long you need to, shoot up, that's your business.
Well, that's not very libertarian. I mean, sure, you want to legalize the drugs, but I mean, you want the government to come in and fix it and make sure that they you know, they survive. I'm
no, see, in my scenario, what you do in that room is your business. Nobody's going to, if you OD in that room, you better hope somebody checked on you.
Well, okay, let me tell you, in Pennsylvania, where I live, we have a horrible heroin problem. I mean, my God, it's bad. And even in my area, I live in a relatively rural area, but I'm an EMS. I work on an ambulance, so I've dealt with plenty of heroin overdoses, including bringing them back.
Yeah,
and they're talking. We're talking about what to do, and that's one of the proposals. Is all right. Let's give them a room, that has a nurse, and they'll get clean needles. Okay, so they're not spreading disease, and they'll be watched so that they don't OD. And most of us in EMS are like, why? Just let them fucking OD.
yeah.
I mean, it sounds horrible to say, but I mean, this is your decision that you made, that you want to do hard drugs like this. I don't understand why the government is going to step in and fix the problem. But then on the other hand, we have a huge problem. And I don't think that either legalization nor illegalization is actually going to fix it.
Yeah, we've already shown. I mean, the drug war's been going on for almost 40 years. The Just Say No campaign was under Ronald Reagan. Fighting it that way is not helping. Making everything illegal isn't helping. One, marijuana should be legalized throughout the land, period. I've never met a stoner that was any worse than a drunk, ever. And frankly, I'll take the stoner because they tend to be a lot calmer. I've never met an angry stoner.
Alcohol affects people in a much different way. Excuse me. Alcohol affects people in different ways per the individual. Marijuana does not. Marijuana pretty much hits you the same way, regardless of who you are. And that is not angry, whereas you've got crying drunks and you've got your angry drunks and you've got your, whatever. That you've got your stupid drunks. I mean,
I'm a very happy drunk. But my father, who was actually an alcoholic, was a very depressed drunk. And I've never seen a depressed pot smoker. It just doesn't seem to happen.
Right. Well, and for me, I have never been able to, even though I for a very long time, I didn't even, going into college, I disagreed with legalizing marijuana. But I changed my mind only because of the relationship between marijuana and alcohol. I don't think you should smoke pot. I really don't. There's definitely bad effects to it. Steven Crowder had a great guest on who talked about some of those things. But it's your decision if you want to do it. And to me, there's nothing worse about pot than there is about alcohol. And if we're going to keep alcohol legal, then you should legalize pot. And that's where things start to go off the rails for me when it comes to legalizing drugs. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to legalize alcohol and all of the problems that we have with alcohol, then we should really legalize all this other shit as well. But it comes to a point where just by the very taking of it, like PCP, now you're really going to put other people at risk. And I think that that's true for other drugs as well, but there's a line to be drawn in there that I haven't found the place where you draw that line. Does heroin hurt people too much? Where do we put that?
Well, for me, most of it, I mean, there is the argument, like we keep talking about angel dust, and that is a very specific drug that causes horrible hallucinations and can cause people to act out. Most of the other drugs we're talking about, people taking cocaine, heroin, generally when we're talking about it, about why we keep it illegal, it's for personal reasons, to save people from themselves. And that's where I have a problem.
Well, I agree with you, except that you then talk about putting them in rooms where they can shoot up safely. I mean, that's literally the definition of saving them from themselves. And
that's not necessarily to save them from themselves. That's to save them from hurting other people while they're high. Like I said, I wouldn't have a nurse in that room. You go in there, you shoot up, and if you OD, like I said, you better hope the nurse happens to be walking along and look, because it's your decision. You're doing your stupid shit.
But I don't want the government to be responsible for that.
For which part?
For keeping them alive.
Again, I'm not there for keeping them alive.
Well, I know, but you got to figure, okay, imagine that world, right? We live in a very litigious society. Okay, we're going to build a house, and there you are, and you know, let's just say it's just for heroin. And if you want to go heroin, you can go in there and you can do your heroin, and nobody's going to stop you, and everything's going to be fine. But there isn't anybody in there who's going to save your life if you die. They're going to die. They're going to OD in there because they already OD all over the place. So they're going to OD in there. It's going to be just like a flop house, only a government-run flop house. So instead of being a flop house that has no one to sue, now let's sue the government because now let's sue the government. Sorry, I got distracted by the chat. This is what happens every time I stream on my own channel. I read the chat all of a sudden and I lose my thought. No.
Well, this is why people get mad at me because I don't pay enough attention to my chat, and I understand that. But sometimes when you're talking, like most of the time when I'm talking, I'm actually looking at my microphone, which is offset from my computer. So I can't even read the chat as I'm talking. So
see, I've gotten so bad about that sometimes that I'll just take the screen and I will move the chat off the screen and then I'll come back to it later, because if I have it on the screen, I will do exactly what I just did and just get totally off the rails. But you got the idea. There's not going to be a scenario in which we can make this kind of a flop house and not have people suing once they die.
But see, this is part of my plan. Requires a lot of personal responsibility, which I realize is not a thing in our society anymore. Yeah, you would sign a waiver or something. If I go in here and do this stupid shit, it's my responsibility.
Well, but see that sounds lovely, except that I just don't think it's never going to happen. You're not going to get that passed. That's not something that they would agree to. And even then, I'm not sure it does sound lovely, because that's something that the taxpayers have to pay for, and I don't like that.
Well, I think you could do it with them paying for it. You wouldn't just get to go in there free. Ranthony, what about needle exchange? Possibility of having a safe injection site. It's a public health hazard reduction. Also, people can climb out. Thank you, Point, for the donation. What do you say to that?
I don't know what he means by climb out, but yes, a safe injection site. That's one of the things, like I said, about nursing, having a nurse on site who does this, and where they get their clean needles. What public is having the health hazard? I mean, junkies, sure, they trade needles, and you should see what happens to a needle, or even to the syringe itself after a significant amount of injections. So sure, they share needles all the time, but when they spread their STDs and their various diseases and cooties, they're doing that with each other. I wouldn't even call that a what am I trying to say? Oh, a public health hazard. I'm not going to get AIDS from a needle stick. I'm not going to be sharing a needle with a heroin addict, is what I'm trying to say.
Timothy Seelbeck says, yes, there is. You can write the law so it says people can't sue.
Yeah, no, you can't. Good luck with that.
Yeah,
people will always sue.
I will agree with you there that people can try, but like with the slant case yesterday, I don't know if you heard about this. The Supreme Court just ruled that hate speech is protected speech, which was a wonderful fucking thing.
I didn't, but good.
Yeah, somebody sued
to be ruled though, because there's plenty of precedent for that. We just said it again.
Well, this was a special case. Somebody was trying to trademark slant, and the government came in and said, no, you can't do that because it might offend people, because slant is a derogatory term for Asians. Okay. And yeah, the Supreme Court 8-0 came back and said, no, fuck you. That free speech, hate speech is free speech. So
no, what worries me more right now, we're getting away from the drug debate, but when it comes to free speech, what worries me more is have you read about this case where this girl has just been convicted of involuntary manslaughter for the death of her boyfriend, who committed suicide while they were on the phone? Yeah, you heard about this?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Well, but for anybody who didn't hear about this, let me just explain real quick. So she went to trial. She was just convicted on involuntary manslaughter because She was on the phone with her boyfriend and he wanted to kill himself and she encouraged him to do it. And then he did. And then it came out at trial that one of the reasons, if not the reason, that she convinced him to kill himself is because she wanted the attention of basically having a boyfriend who killed himself. And so the jury convicted her for involuntary manslaughter. And I have a big problem with this, but before I get into that, why don't you tell me what you think?
Well, one thing, it wasn't a jury trial. It was just a judge. And,
oh, was it? Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. And her name is Michelle Carter.
Right, and his name was
I don't know his name.
Conrad Roy.
There's two things that she was convicted. Two reasons she was convicted for this. One, she knew he was dead. She didn't call parents. She didn't call fire department, police, nobody to help him.
Well, but which state did she live in? Because there's only
I'm not sure. But in that state, that's one of the reasons she was convicted, is because she took no action to save him when she knew he was dead.
Well, because there's only two. There's only two states. It's Hawaii and Minnesota, I believe, that require you to do that. Otherwise, that's not a crime that I'm aware of.
Timothy Steelbeck, thank you for the donation. In Texas, they wrote a law that says you can't sue if you get hurt doing a voluntary activity.
I like Texas.
There was a case, I believe it was in California, where a burglar, a guy who was breaking into somebody's home, fell through their skylight and he was allowed to sue, even though in California you can't sue if you were doing an illegal activity. He was still allowed to.
I know what
that case was so fucked up.
There was a similar one where a high school vandal was walking along the top of the high school for like their prank and fell through a skylight, and I don't think he died. I think he was paralyzed, and they sued. Yeah, it's you can write a law and it can be the most beautiful, perfect law, and that doesn't mean it's going to actually protect you when you then go to court and say, oh, well, we said we're not liable, so therefore we're not liable. It won't stick. That's because of the nature of the society we live in, and that's a good thing and a bad thing.
It is, because there are times where it's written like that, where it's absolutely bullshit.
Right.
If the reason they were allowed to sue in the skylight instances is because they say that the skylight should have had a certain rating for people to actually be able to stand on them. So it was a faulty skylight.
Right.
Not necessarily that, I fell through your thing. But back to Michelle Carter. I had a pretty good debate with SDA over this, Some Dumb American, in our regular stream, because she's of the opinion it's just speech. She shouldn't really be held liable for that. It's still his decision. And
I too am of that opinion.
I disagree strongly because of, have you read the conversation? This is a guy who actually
and I should, but I don't think I'm gonna care.
Read it. If you don't change your mind reading it, I will be surprised. She didn't just encourage him to do this. She actually shamed him for not doing it. Basically called him a pussy. Why aren't you dead yet? He had gotten out of the truck. The way he killed himself was the carbon dioxide from his tailpipe was pumped into his truck so that he died of poisoning. And at one point when he was in the middle of this, he got out of the truck and she convinced him to get back in. This to me this was a direct act of violence on her part, in my opinion. It would be no different than if she was talking him into killing somebody else. If this same conversation happened, but the end result was him shooting someone else, nobody would say, oh, that's not her fault. She would be liable. She would be part of it. But in this instance, because he killed himself, like SDA is like, well, he's still responsible for what he did. I think there comes a point in free speech where if you're advocating direct violence, yes, you still have your free speech right, but this is a criminal act. You are guilty of the crime that you were encouraging.
Go in your truck and drive in a parking lot somewhere. Do it like early. Do it now like early. You just need to do it, Conrad. The more you push it off, the more it will eat at you. You're ready and prepared. All you have to do is turn the generator on. You will be free and happy. No more pushing it off. No more waiting, etc., etc. I'm not seeing where she called him a pussy, but
yeah.
Okay, I get where you're coming from. But I have two problems. First of all, the reason that it would be that she would be implicated in a crime if she had convinced him to kill somebody else is because we have laws regarding murder. We have laws regarding conspiracy to commit murder. We do not have laws regarding the commission of suicide. Assisted suicide, yes, but she didn't commit assisted suicide. I don't think anybody's ever, put that forward. Like a friend of mine did, and that's why I brought it up. But so I don't think that equates because you're allowed to kill yourself in this country if you want to do it. There's no law against it. So she didn't convince him to commit a crime.
Actually, suicide is against the law in several states. I don't know if it is in hers, but yeah.
Which was Massachusetts, by the way. I was looking this up a while ago before this incident actually happened, and I remember finding that suicide is not illegal in any state, and actually is only illegal in a couple of countries. Suicide illegal by state. Suicide legislation. I know. I'm sorry. It's so fucking riveting.
But why are you doing that? Why do you not looking at it legalities, not looking at the law against it? Where do you see a difference morally in her convincing him to kill himself or convincing him to kill someone else?
Oh, well, we haven't been talking about it morally, and the only thing that concerns me about the issue is that we're holding somebody responsible for what they said. And I'm worried that this is going to set a precedent for example, she was on the phone with, excuse me, I don't think they did have phone conversations, but a lot of it was by text, right? But she was having conversations with him. She convinced him to do it. Sure. We're going to then step down the line of, I said something mean to you in the school cafeteria and it made you want to kill yourself, and then you went and did it, and now they're going to hold me responsible for it. We've had murmurings like this from any time. All of these anti-bullying advocates, for example, talk about this kind of thing, of driving somebody to suicide. And I think we're going down that road, and that's dangerous. From a moral aspect, fuck this bitch. Gotta be kidding me. All right, she absolutely will burn in hell where she belongs for what she has done. However, it's not a moral issue. People do bad things. From a legal standpoint, I don't want to set this legal precedent that we're now going to convict people for having. She didn't pull the trigger. She wasn't even there, with him. She was no, so there's nothing about her actually assisting him in doing it. She didn't give him the poison. She didn't buy the gun for him. She didn't, anything like that. Or she didn't turn the car on for him in this case, because he CO2 poisoned himself. Yeah, she didn't actually do anything other than tell him what to do, and he did it, and that was his decision. And it sucks that he did it, and I'm sad for him, and I wish he could have gotten help, but I just don't think that she's responsible for it.
Real quick, by the early 1990s, only 2 states listed suicide as a crime, and they've since been removed. However, in some states, suicide is still listed as an unwritten common law crime, as stated in Blackstone's commentaries. So held the Virginia Supreme Court in 1992. So you're right. There are no more states have it legally listed, but it is still a common law crime.
Well, which means they'll never be punished for it. Because the reason I actually came up is because we were talking about something in class a while ago, but it had to do with this because I was looking up the countries that have illegalized suicide.
And that's my mistake. The last time I looked was probably in the early 90s, so that's entirely my mistake.
No worries.
Here's my problem, because SDA brought this up too, because she was worried that this would be used if somebody was arguing with the feminists and told them to kill themselves and they did it. I think there's a clear distinction between what this cunt did and somebody typing KYS into chat. And I don't think there's a jury in the world that would look at that at the feminist example and go, yeah, they made them kill themselves. Where if you look at the way this girl talked to him, I mean, if you read the whole thing, she was absolutely one of the main reasons he did this. He tried backing out many times, and every time she pestered him into it. And this goes to a state where if there's somebody you'd love and trust, they do have a certain power over you. And yes, absolutely, he could have stopped this at any time. And that's easy for any of us to say. We weren't in his position. Excuse me. See, like right now, Skeptic Simba, if I kill myself, it's going to be your fault. I'm very much of the opinion that, yeah, you have to take responsibility for what you do. But again, this is a special case. This wasn't just, yeah, if you want to kill yourself, go ahead and do it. This was, do it. God damn it, do it. And no, to my knowledge, she doesn't actually call him a pussy. But if you read it, there are parts where she's calling him a pussy. Get in there and do it. Stop being a little bitch.
Well, I'm on Boston.com. Read the messages at the heart of the Michelle Carter suicide by text manslaughter trial. So I take it that it says at the heart. I take it this is not full. But this is the first one I found.
Yeah, and even in that, I mean, listen to her. You just go do it. It's early in the morning. Go get it done.
Oh, okay. Real quick, this is interesting. Unlike 40 other states, Massachusetts does not have a law criminalizing assisted suicide. I take it that if they had, she would have been tried under that.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And that's the reason she was convicted of involuntary manslaughter is they don't have a law that specifically covers this.
Right. Well,
but they do find her guilty. And again, we have to remember that a large part of the reason that she was convicted for this is because she didn't try to help.
Well, and I get that, except that that's not okay. That's not the law. I believe it's Minnesota. Hawaii is one of them, and I believe it's Minnesota that require you to help somebody in need. No other state does this. So in Pennsylvania, now I'm an EMT. It's a little bit different. But if I wasn't, let's say it's you. Okay, you drive by a crash. Okay, and there's a motorcyclist, laying there on the road, and he's all splayed out and whatever, and you do absolutely nothing. You're just totally fine. You have no duty to act to that person. Now, what I was reading is that they said that she had created a duty to act. This was in the verdict somewhere. I don't have it in front of me, but that she had created a duty to act, and that she had the responsibility, similar to the responsibility of like a mother to feed her child, right? There's a duty to act there.
Yes.
I could buy that possibly. But I still, and as long as that's the situation in future cases that are going to be based on this precedent, I'm okay with this. But no matter what, I want this case to get hopefully up to the Supreme Court, and I want it to be laid out very, very plainly where the lines should be drawn as to how much involvement is too much involvement, basically, where you're now responsible for somebody else's suicide. But see, that's the intrinsic part that I have a problem with is sure, she didn't do anything, after he died, but that's almost a loophole. That's not why we're here. We're here because of the texts. And I don't care, to be perfectly honest, if she said in those messages, "You little bitch, kill yourself. You do it right now." She could have been the most vile cunt in the entire text message. If she never did anything more than texting him or, telling him on the phone, I don't think that she's responsible for what he ultimately did.
See, I just disagree with that because of how she behaved.
Well, but I understand. But if we draw the line there, that's what I'm saying is that worries me, that we're going to have similar situations, like you said, right, with Simba in the chat telling you to kill yourself. We live in a fucked up liberal lefty society, where people like Lena Dunham, it might say exactly that. Look at how feminists treat people like Bering on the internet, right? Bering didn't even do anything to tell, it's not like he tells people to go to Christy Winters's channel,
Yeah.
and or anything like that, and yet he's still blamed for it. He's still told he has to disavow, or he has to tell his people not to do that. That will happen. I really think that if we take these steps, that could happen.
I see the slippery slope. I do, but again, with the conversation that happened, I don't think that any jury in the world would look at this and a random KYS and say it's the same thing. The other thing, there was another great case that was settled recently. Since we're talking law today, there was the case. I forget the name, and I'm so sorry for that. But
it's okay.
There was a YouTube video quite a while ago. I want to say it was almost 10 years ago now, with a dancing baby, and it was just an 18-second clip, and in the background you could hear a Prince song playing. And Universal filed a DMCA. The lady who posted the video filed an appeal, and YouTube overturned it, and her video was allowed to be back up. And then the lady sued Universal for the
real quick. It's Lens versus Universal Music Corp.
Thank you. Yes. So Miss Lenz filed there's a part of the DMCA that says you cannot knowingly file a false DMCA claim.
Uh-huh.
And she sued them based on that, saying that they filed a false claim. And this went all the way up to the Solicitor General, who refused to. He said he agreed with the Ninth Court decision, and the Supreme Court just refused to hear it. So the Ninth Court's decision stands. And what the Ninth Circuit found, is that she was absolutely within fair use rights, but she couldn't sue Universal because she couldn't prove that Universal knew they were filing a false DMCA. So for YouTubers, this is actually really great news, because we just had basically the Supreme Court say, yeah, we're good with what they did, and fair use is a good thing. But they also kind of screwed YouTubers, because now you're not going to be able to sue anybody for that. Like the Bible Reloaded was going to sue. I wish I had a better memory. They were going to sue somebody who was false DMCAing them.
Uh-huh.
They ended up settling out of court. But now that kind of case can't even happen, because you have to be able to prove that they knew they were filing a false DMCA. Which is
I don't know anything about the situation, but you said that they quote kept false DMCAing them. That sounds like they knew. Well, I've always been a little bit worried about that. When it comes to filing a false DMCA, because part of the thing with DMCA is it's not always clear. Now, in her case, I mean, Universal should know better. Or whoever works at Universal should know better than to file one. But, say somebody uses something of mine or something, or like Laci Green is a good example of somebody who doesn't have any absolute clue of how DMCA works.
Yes.
I wouldn't want her getting sued just because she's an idiot and doesn't realize that what was being used is fair use. There's a point. Partly, YouTube has that situation where, okay, we're going to take it and we're going to review it, and we know the law. Here, let us fix it for you because you don't know the law. So I kind of understand that. And partly it's kind of difficult when you can just click a couple of buttons and file a DMCA claim. It's not like you have to go down to your local court, and all that. So,
well, but when you file a DMCA claim, it does ask you and tell you are under oath that you know that this claim is valid.
Right.
Real quick, Data Wasteland in chat said it's the frozen trucker all over again, companies over people. I see what you're saying there, but I don't necessarily agree, because you do have to prove intent here. And if you read the law, if you read the DMCA law, and anybody who runs a YouTube channel absolutely should, it says in there you have to know that you're filing a false claim. So that part of the law is kind of fucked up, because it does it does put the onus on you to prove that they know it. And like you brought up the Laci Green claim, Laci Green has very limited. Let me back up a second. After Laci Green did her red pill video, a YouTube creator that I know got a strike from Laci Green, and he was very mad about it, and it went to Twitter and said some bad shit. And many of us pointed out to him that wasn't Laci Green. A lot of people watched what happened with Laci Green and Roaming Millennial and immediately assumed that every time you get a copyright claim for a Laci Green video, that is Laci Green doing it. The Roaming Millennial case was a very specific case where Laci actually got involved.
Right. Most of the
In
time.
most cases, yes. In most cases, it's her network.
Right.
And I made a video, and I private all of my videos before I put them up, so I can put in like the end screens and that stuff. Even as soon as I went private, before anybody could even see it, Laci couldn't even have watched it, I got a DMCA claim on that video. And it's because her network does it. Now, you mentioned Laci Green, you don't want her sued because she's an idiot on DMCA, but her God damn it, let my mouth work. Her network should know by now. There's no way they don't know fair use as many times as some of us have challenged their bullshit.
That's definitely true.
So in that case, I think there could be a very valid claim against her network, but against her herself, yeah.
Network, I just wouldn't want to see, a content creator getting screwed out of something because, let's say you don't have a network, like I don't have a network. That I don't want somebody getting sued and having to go through all of that because they're not sure about the law. And again, hence why I understand Lens, you have to prove that there was a harmful intent there.
Yeah, and not just harmful intent, that they actually knew that what they were doing was wrong. And fair use is such a bitch because it's kind of vague in itself. A lot of people think that if you just use a little clip, that counts as fair use. That doesn't.
Nope.
The length of your clip has fuck all to do with fair use.
Criticism, comment. I used to know it. I forget, but it's criticism, comment, etc., etc.
Education.
There are specific reasons that you're allowed to use something, and just because, well, I mean, that is a good example, right? For children dancing to a Prince song, let's say she had deliberately overlaid the Prince song. I think that would be the difference, right? Having the Prince song in the background, that's what they were dancing to, is different. Having the Prince song overlaid to the video of them dancing wouldn't, that would be a legitimate DMCA. And it doesn't matter that it was only 18 seconds of the song. It could be 2 seconds of the song. It's still an integral part, and it's not part of fair use.
Right. And that was part of the case, is that the Prince song was barely audible in the background. The focus of that video was definitely the child dancing and not that song.
Right.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of YouTubers who should probably brush up on DMCA, because I've seen some YouTubers that I respect a lot mention the length of time, and that really has fuck all to do with it, guys. It is not a factor.
If you don't remember, Acorns in the chat says fair use should be far stricter. Look at reaction videos. That's insane. Well, reaction videos do fall under hey Bloodwing. Reaction videos do fall under the fair use because they are criticism and comment, and what are the other two? Let me go look at them.
Satire and education.
Oh, thank you. Satire and education. And so they do fall under that fair use, as much as I don't like it, because reaction videos are bullshit the way that they're performed, but they are legal. Hence, I guess, though, why he's saying it should be stricter. But I would worry if it was, because then you get into, well, what about response videos, for example?
Yeah. And I do kind of have a problem with response videos, because so often there's a lot of it that could be cut out, where they're just watching and there's actually no reaction for quite a while. So I get why people have an issue with that, but you're absolutely right. There's commentary there's criticism there.
I get that, except that, I mean, I know from personal experience doing response videos and also from, Bearing or others, a lot of the time I don't want to cut anything out because I know that if I do, I'm going to be accused of misrepresenting their argument or whatever, or chopping up the video or something like that. So that's why I always keep as much of it as I possibly can whenever I do a response.
I'm sorry if I said response. I was meaning the reaction videos.
Oh. Okay. I'm sorry. You did. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
No.
The reaction videos, you're right. There's a lot of space where it's just, the most they'll do in a reaction is like,
Mm-hmm.
and you can just watch the video and then reacting to it at the same time, and that just screws people out of their due when they made the original video. And they always do it to stupid shit like ERB, right? Which they know they're going to get a ton of videos or a ton of views for it.
Maybe I'll do a reaction video to one of my own streams. Man, we have covered quite a bit of hefty topics today.
Yeah, and honestly, I think we really only scraped the surface of them all too.
Yeah, we did. I enjoy these kind of conversations just to get the brain thinking, and I enjoy disagreeing with people. We disagreed on a few things, and I think that's healthy, and I think we need more of that, not just in the community, but all over YouTube.
Yeah, and not just necessarily disagreeing to disagree, but disagreeing respectfully and not, going in, oh, kill yourself, you dumb fuck.
Yes.
We're very pure on the internet today.
I do enjoy, I'm not going to lie, I enjoy some childish behavior, and sometimes I think it's absolutely warranted. But when it comes to actual conversations, I think there's a glut. I said glutton. That's not what I meant. There's a fuck. There's not enough of it. Let me put it that way. There's not enough of actual conversation going on. And
well,
since we talked a little bit about Laci, what do you think about Laci's red pilling stuff? I assume you watched it.
Oh, of course I did. And oh my God, my mind was fucked for days after I learned she was dating Chris Reagan. I was just, what? It was actually funny because a friend of mine who sort of watches some of these videos, I was like, so you know who Laci Green is, right? And he's like, yeah. You know Chris Reagan? Yeah. They're dating. What? Literally what he did. It was so funny. But like, I don't know. I felt like I'm willing to welcome her into the community for a while. Partly that's because I used to like Laci Green. 2012 era, I used to watch her regularly. I loved Sex Plus. And it was depressing when I learned that she had gone absolutely insane. And I think I have a different amount of respect for her than for other people, because I do think that she has the ability to understand, that she has the ability to critically think about certain issues. I don't think she has malicious intent. Even maybe in the roaming millennial case, I don't even know if she had malicious intent. I did think so at the time, but that was because of who she was at the time. I think that she just became, I think she's almost like the epitome of misguided bedroom feminist, who just happened to get her own YouTube, or her own YouTube channel and then her own MTV show of her in her bedroom waxing about feminism, when in reality, she doesn't know anything. So I'm pleased to see it, though I'm a little questioning of the reasons. I wonder if she hasn't started thinking this way because she's dating Chris, as opposed to because she actually believes it. So I don't know.
Well, I've thought about that too since I found out, because she did the red pill video before she ever announced she was with Chris.
True.
This is going to come off so misogynistic, but it's not just for women. But a lot of times when women start dating a man, they will adopt their ideology, and
Sure.
it goes the same way. A lot of times when guys date girls, they adopt the ideology. So I do wonder how much of that is based on that, and if they were to break up, if she'd suddenly go fuck all of you.
That's what I've been wondering is, you know, if slash when they do break up, is that going to happen? Is she going to all of a sudden turn around and say all men, you know, all men's rights activists are like my ex-boyfriend? I mean,
Yeah, because let's be honest, Chris has a reputation for going through some of the ladies in the community. But for me, what really stuck out is that Laci has never said that she's actually joining the community.
no, she hasn't. We've been mostly assuming it.
Yeah, all she said is that she wants to have a dialogue, which I think is great. We should have dialogue. The reaction from the other side, holy shit, you'd have thought she said, fuck women. Women should be in the kitchen popping out babies.
I know.
And God, Chris has become the biggest Nazi ever.
I love it though. I love watching them, and I think, to be honest, it's their reaction. It is their reaction that is the only reason why I think that Laci might be here to stay, because
yes,
she brought up.
Oh, you're roboting there a little bit, bud.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Say it again.
She brought up, I think it was in her second Red Pill video, about some of the reactions that she had from, for example, trans women who believe she was a TERF or some such shit. And I think that she's, you know, by wanting dialogue and then receiving this kind of a backlash from the shives,
yes.
I think that if she wasn't for realsies woke, she's for realsies woke.
Yeah, I think their reaction has pushed her to the side forever, because they have been so fucking crazy about it.
Right.
Literally, all she said is, "I want to have a dialogue," and they have treated it like she has come out and said if women get abortions, they should be shot in the face. The way that they have talked about her is just fucking ridiculous.
And
the really strange part is that some of the people doing it have had dialogue with this side. Tim Blake is constantly on streams with people on this side of things.
Yeah.
But I have never heard Steve Shives give him any shit at all. So I think you're right. I think the reaction from that side has probably pushed her at least willing to talk to us for the foreseeable future.
Well, and you know, a lot of people question her sincerity about it, and I think that that question was answered largely when it turned out that she was dating Chris. But it has always, for me, been less about what she says in her videos and more about her arguments on Twitter with these people. When you read through them, I mean, she really is getting into it, and in my opinion, rather sincerely, where she actually does believe that this is what she wants to have. She wants to have these dialogues. She wants to have these conversations. And she's almost sticking up for people. And it's mind fuckery for me to watch this happen from her, but I do think it's sincere. And I you know what? I mean, I think all is forgiven. I'm whatever. You know.
I really want to talk to Laci, and I've been trying to get her attention on Twitter, and she's responded to a few things. But the one time when I actually reached out to try to talk to her, almost immediately, one of the SJWs had posted something. I posted two things that I had said to her on Twitter months before. So they like had this shit waiting,
Right?
Just waiting for me to say it. And I'm not a big YouTuber. But yeah, they apparently they have like files waiting for anybody who wants to talk to her, because she made some comment about how great it was to sleep with teddy bears, and I responded, because they don't blame you for the itch the next morning, which was mean. But I would have said that to somebody on our side. It's a joke.
It's a joke. It's funny. But I mean, the same way the same thing happens, you know, to both sides. Laci certainly was not waxing prophetic when it came to the roaming millennial situation.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I mean, people change and ideologies change. And part of the reason here is, we think differently of Laci now because there was a lot of shitlordery that went on. She was the one of the pinnacles of online feminism, and so naturally she was going to receive a lot of derogatory comments, and I don't like that. Let me be clear, I really don't. um she brought up a point that I agree with, and I've been saying for a long time, that when you're in a position like she is, that's all she sees is people saying, kill yourself, you need to die, da, 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 is little shitlords running around, trolling. And I hate that because it does devalue our opinions and our side.
Yep.
But once she started to say, okay, you know what, we'll have a dialogue with you. Oh my God, look at that. Now everybody was like, no shit, you're listening? Okay, let me tell you what I actually have to say.
Well, in her first video, when I made a response almost immediately. I was lucky enough to have time to make a video right as she released that. So my video was like the first one out, and I wanted to respond nicely to what she said because her message was something I agreed with. And I ended up instead just tearing apart the first half of her video. And one of the things that happened in that first half is she talks about how online the debate is just horrible. Everybody's mean. But now she started listening. And I'm like, okay, I get if you're listening to chat, yeah, it can be cancerous. But why the hell are you just now watching the videos that respond to you? Granted, some of them are absolute trash. Some of them are just people making fun of her. And for anybody out there who says Laci's ugly, you're wrong. Laci's cute as fuck. She is. People get so mean about stuff like that. Laci's cute.
And when she gained a couple of pounds, everybody was calling her a fat ass and all that. But it had very little to do with any truth, and it only had to do with, trying to pick apart something that you knew, people would find funny and that would get to her if she ever saw it, because that's what people wanted to do.
Yeah, but there's so many arguments out there against the things she said, and she never took the time to even look. And I do think that especially with how well she's been received on this side, I think she'll at least be listening. and I've said this many times. I don't want Laci to abandon feminism. I don't. I like having her on the other side. But I do hope she becomes a feminist more like Christina Hoff Sommers rather than like Christy Winters. Because there's a world of difference between those two, and they are both feminists. And Christina represents the second wave of feminism, where it was all about not just equality of opportunity, but equality of responsibility. One of my other favorites is Camille Paglia. I fucking love her. And one of the things she talks about is when she was in college, they had curfews for the girls. The girls had to be in at a certain time, but the boys could be out whenever they wanted to. And the reason that the college did this was to protect the girls. And she said what we were fighting for was the right to get assaulted. And that's a weird way to put it, but it's absolutely true. They wanted the ability to go out at night where they might get hurt,
Right.
the same as men do.
Right.
And that was real equality.
And it is, and that's a good thing. And I would advocate for that, and I would have been on their side, except that then they have to be responsible about it. And of course,
exactly,
we know what happened then, and they weren't. So
it's come full circle. It's now the girls are demanding protection,
right?
Where before they were demanding, hey, let us be like the guys.
Well, what's kind of interesting that you bring that up. I mean, it's the same kind of thing with segregation.
Yes,
been arguing for years about not blacks being equal to whites and not having separate water fountains, and now here we are. We want separate dorm rooms. We want separate dorms. We want separate graduations, in the name of diversity. It's very interesting.
It's let's call it what it is. It's fucking stupid.
Fair enough. It's fucking stupid.
It's fucking stupid. It really is. There's no reason for it. And sorry, we really are on the tough subjects today. With racism, you don't fight it with more racism. That is the dumbest. Fight fire with fire. No, you don't do that.
About the other night. You don't fight fire with fire, and you don't fight bigotry with bigotry.
Yeah, you really don't. It doesn't help. It makes it worse.
Right.
And we should be at the point as a civilization that we laugh at the mere idea of segregation.
Yeah.
And that's what social justice has brought us to. Right. Is that well, they should be segregated because they want to be. Fuck that.
Right.
Nothing for you here. Yes, Morgan Freeman has it right on race. And the reason he has it right on race is because he obviously believes in what Martin Luther King did. Content of character.
And exactly like you just said, you don't fight fire with fire. That's the only reason Martin Luther King was successful. And that's the only reason why we have an MLK Day and not a Malcolm X Day, because it was Martin Luther King's, pacifism that led to, listen, we just want what we're due. We just want to be equals. We just want to be treated as men, regardless of the color of our skin. We're not burning shit to the ground. Okay, yep. We're not acting like a bunch of animals. We're saying what we need and what we want. And that is why Martin Luther King was successful. That is why the early suffragist movement was successful, because they weren't basically giving the other side ammunition of, oh, well, they're just, look at those bunch of animals, look at those bunch of monkeys, look at those thugs, whatever. That wasn't happening. They treated the other side almost the way they wanted to be treated. Golden rule, right?
Right. And the difference in film footage of, say, the National Guard moving in, or Wallace and his shit, compared to King just calmly marching down the street. You can't look at those two things and say King was the animal there. It was quite obviously the racists that were the fucking animals, treating people just horribly. Right. And then you fast forward to 2015, 2016, and you have Black Lives Matter, and I need some muscle over here. Go fuck yourself. It's time to return to King's dream, because he was right.
But then, if you ask Tariq Nasheed,
oh fuck that guy,
you're only talking about King when he said something you think you agree with.
Yes, and you know what? He's actually right there, because King did have some like communist ideas, and I disagree with that. But here's the thing: I can agree with ideas I find good, and disagree with ones I find bad. I agree with a lot of what Thomas Jefferson said. I don't agree it was okay to have slaves. So, it goes both ways. Tariq Nasheed is just a jackass.
I actually had my own argument with him, and I was so proud of myself back then, because it was the first, and I think so far the only argument that I've ever had with a Twitter checkmark. And I was like, oh, I'm like a big timer now. Look at
nice.
Granted, he argues with everybody, but still.
I haven't argued with him yet. I'm on my best behavior on Twitter because of I've had a few strikes against me. Well, I had one where I just had to log on and delete a message because I called somebody a retard, and he got mad about it. And in DMs, he said, I could report you. I said, well, just report me, faggot. Stop. I didn't call him faggot. What I called him a retard. I said, just report me, retard. Stop threatening. And then the next morning I woke up and he'd reported me. And then the other one was actually an argument with Cat Black. And oddly enough, it wasn't until the Laci, it happened about a week and a half before the Laci Green red pilling. But as soon as I agreed with Laci Green and cheered her on Twitter, suddenly I got strikes from something I said to her. And I'm like, go, you fucking bitch. But yeah, I ended up with a week suspension over that. So I'm on my best behavior so I don't lose my account.
Gotcha. I don't know. I don't care if I do lose my account. Twitter is such cancer.
It is, but it's also a good way to connect with people, especially if you're doing a nightly stream.
Fair enough. I understand. I'm bad about that. That's why I'm not big or bigger, because I'm bad about connecting with people and talking to people.
You're good at talking to people. You're really good at talking to people. You were one of the first people who reached out to me when I was much smaller than I am now, and I'm eternally grateful for that.
Oh well, I appreciate that.
Guys, if you are not,
I always feel weird whenever, and this is something I've just never gotten over. And I was told very early on by Matt Christensen to get over it, but I've never been able to get over sub count. I just, you know, I look at people and I'm like, oh my god, you're so much bigger than me. All I'm doing is raping your sub count. All I'm doing by getting involved with you is just like, trying to. It looks like I'm just trying to steal your stuff, steal your work. And it's stupid. It's really stupid because I know that that's not how people who are bigger than me think. Because I know that's not how I think about people who are smaller than me.
right,
But
right.
all I want to do is help you if I like your content. But I've never been able to get over that. Like I can't even talk to Bering anymore because I just like. Well, first of all, I think he thinks I'm insane now. Okay. That's part of it. When we had a religious stream, this is way back before his new logo.
Oh, okay.
So I think that has something to do with it. But I can't approach him because I feel like I feel like all I would be saying is, oh hey Bering, can you give me more subs? Can you give me more attention? Bering, help me, Bering. And I can't get over that, and it's terrible. And that's one of the reasons why I can't get anywhere because I feel bad.
Well, I have a problem. I was talking to Irate Bear about this last night. I have an issue reaching out to people because I feel like I'm imposing on them. And last night I just said, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to reach out to Bering. I haven't talked to him in forever and see if he wants to live stream because I have a rare week right now where I can schedule things that I normally couldn't. And I'm like, fuck it, I'll do it. And I was surprised because if you've ever reached out to Bering, you know that it can take a while for him to get back to you. One, he's busy, and two, with the time difference.
Right.
But he answered immediately. I was like, oh fuck. But even then, and I've talked to Bering a few times, and I've gotten over my fanboyism to where I can just talk to him.
Yeah, see, that's part of the problem too.
For me, with Bering, it was a little different because I've talked to him many times. But there are a lot of other creators I would love to talk to, but I feel like I'm imposing, so I just don't. So I get where you're coming from. But like with you, I enjoy talking to you. So if you ever want to talk, just let me know and we'll set it up.
All right. Well, that sounds good. I appreciate that. Yeah, I loved it when you sent me a message and were like, "Hey, let's do something." Like, okay, yeah, let's do that. Thank you. I would love to.
Well, when I realized I had the time, you were the first name I thought of actually, because like I said, you were the one who reached out to me way back when and said, "Hey, you want to do something?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, you're Ranthony. Of course I will."
I can't believe. You're not the first person who said something like that to me. Back when I just did a video with Free Press of Kekistan, if you're familiar with their channel.
Yeah.
And I just did a collaboration with them as Tumblrina. And that was something that he was telling me is like back when he was little, I was one of the first people to actually get involved again with them, and then they blew up. And he's like, "Oh, if I could only be as big as Ranthony," and I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Nothing. What are you talking about?" And it's so weird because I think everybody has this tier. You're at 16,000. You're 4 times larger than I am, and I can just only imagine being up there. But then for somebody who has 400 subscribers, they're looking up at me. I'm 4 times larger than them, and they're like, "Oh my god, if I could only imagine being up there." And it's so strange being a content creator and having that mentality. And I'm terrible for it. It just fucks my brain up.
I've gotten better with it. And part of it was my first interaction with Bering, and I know it's weird, guys, but for me, Bering is a celebrity, and
right, exactly.
Getting to talk to him the first time, I don't know what to say. I don't want to make an ass of myself here. But like last night, we had a great conversation where we just talked. and talking to him has made it a lot easier for me to talk to other people. I'm naturally shy. Uh, if you saw me when I was 13, you would not believe I'm the same person I am now. But there's still that shy kid somewhere inside me, and yeah. So like
Yeah,
talking to bigger YouTubers, like I don't know what to say.
I'm a lot the same way. I've not been
Um,
necessarily shy, but I've always been very cordial. Like there's a point,
hmm,
like I'll be very polite and very nice and whatever in public, and then there's a point where that kind of just stays there. Like I don't get closer to you. I've always been like that, and I feel like I'm the exact same way online. I don't want to keep going. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, no, understand completely. Guys, if you are not subscribed to Ranthony, you should definitely check out his channel and subscribe. He does really good stuff.
Well, thank you.
You do really good streams too. I like your streams. I love your videos. Don't get me wrong, but I like your streams because you're a really good talker.
Thank you. You know,
Um,
I really enjoy them as well. I like if I honestly, if I could just do streams and get along, I would because I really enjoy them more than I enjoy making videos.
I love streaming. Anybody who, for instance, a lot of my audience is going to be very mad at me because this is my third stream in a row without a video. They won't pay attention to the fact that it's a 24-hour period, but I'm getting a video made, guys. So calm down.
I
But
know.
I love streaming, but I absolutely love making videos. I love editing. The one I'm working on now is going to require quite a bit of chopping up and rearranging, and I absolutely love that. The only part I don't like about making videos is actually recording my own voice.
Hmm.
I like my own voice, which apparently makes me weird, but I like my own voice, so that's not the problem. It's stopping the editing process to do that. And
Oh wow.
yeah, I
See,
really like editing.
I don't like editing, and I think I know why. Pretty much everything I do while multitasking,
Oh,
particularly
gotcha.
with YouTube. I am basically always watching YouTube, you know, whether I'm playing video games or cleaning or doing the dishes or whatever, I have YouTube on. Or taking a shower. I've set it up so that I can watch YouTube while I'm in the shower without getting my phone wet because that is how much I multitask or driving even,
Nice.
right? I can't do that while I'm editing because I have to be listening to my own, you know, recordings. And so it's just that's why I just can't do it. I have so much of a problem editing videos because and that's why I slow down so much when I have slowed down so much, I should say, about making videos because I just like, oh, I have to edit this. It's going to take 3 hours. And then
Well,
I also
yeah,
have the terrible thing, like nobody's going to watch it anyway.
I I have to turn Twitter, actually close it down, or I will keep talking to people on there. So yeah, I get that. I'm horrible at multitasking, so I just shut everything else off while I do it.
Gotcha. Well, and see, that's good because you can just focus on one thing, and that's why you like it so much. And I can't do that. And maybe I should. You know what? Maybe I should just make editing like a Zen time where I just sit here and I focus on one thing at a time. But
Richard Head in chat just said, saying you're a fan is bringing yourself down. It's not. It's before YouTube, this would be the same as meeting your favorite rock star, your favorite actor. These are people that they seem unattainable to you. And
yeah,
if you're not a creator, or if you have a different personality than me, maybe it's different for you. But it's like meeting one of your heroes.
yeah,
And when you do, you're like, oh, he's just a guy. But until you do, even if you beat that into your head, it's hard to overcome until you actually are there. Um, it's not bringing anybody else down. It's acknowledging that I looked up to this guy, and I still do. I love what Bering does.
right.
Um,
And I mean, it's
but
not
yeah,
just. I mean, Bering is very very large in comparison. But I mean, I look at people like Blonde in the Belly of the Beast,
oh
and
yeah,
you know she's only, I mean, I say only, but I mean in comparison to Bering, you know, she's at what 49-50,000 subscribers, something like that. And yet to me, I'm looking at her like, oh my god, I can't believe you're you know coming down here to talk to little old me, and I feel like a nothing. And that's it's just the way it is, and I just can't. I just need to get over it and say, hey, you want to talk? But I can't. I don't.
I'm telling you, just reach out. You're great for talking. The other one for me was roaming millennial,
Yeah.
and that one was a little different because I did make that video on her.
Right. Same with me. Same with me because I made a video regarding Laci Green, um, and she reached out to me because of that.
Yeah,
But
when I finally talked to her, okay, let me be honest. I thought she was probably a stuck-up bitch, and I'm just being honest. The way that she comes off, it's not. She has the very nice hair, the very nice clothing, the very nice background, the books on the shelf, and her videos don't come off like she's a stuck-up bitch. I just figured off camera she was like that. And then when I finally actually did get to talk to her, she is one of the nicest people I've talked to. She is so sweet and kind. And when she joined us for one of our nightly streams, and she was even nice enough to take questions from our audience. And let's be honest, audience, you guys can ask some bad questions.
especially with the ladies.
Yeah, and she was so
Terrible
sweet
about
to
that,
do
you
that.
guys.
She is just as nice as she comes off in her videos.
She really is.
Uh,
She is so nice. I remember, and maybe I shouldn't even bring this up on live, but I will because it's an issue. Do you remember Panda Bearing?
Panda bearing, that sounds so familiar.
Panda Bearing was a bearing groupie, is I guess the best way to describe it, where all he wanted to do was be like Bearing, and he wasn't creative. He was very annoying.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I know who you're talking about.
Well, and he eventually, he went away from doing that, and he became a Liger or something, and he's something new now. And I'm not going to tell you what it was because I don't want you to go, not you, but I don't want people to go and just stir shit up. But when he was Liger, he had maybe 200, 300 subs, and Roaming Millennial came and did a stream with him, all because he asked.
Nice.
And so, like I said, she's just so nice, so sweet, and I still feel bad. Like I still feel like fanboyish just because she's so much bigger than me, even though she got her start after I did on YouTube.
Yeah, I like I said, and that my prejudgment of her being a bitch, literally had everything to do with her setup there. And it's
Right.
because I've known so many girls like that, and that was wrong of me to assume. But yeah, she really is nice. Hey, I'll be honest, I haven't met anyone that I would say is a complete jackass.
Fair enough. Now that you mention it, no, I wouldn't either.
And I think that's because one, the circles I run in are just great people. But two, I don't think YouTube really lends itself to that at any of the levels that people are on right now. Even if you make a good living off of it, unless you get to PewDiePie levels, it's hard to be a completely arrogant jackass, in my opinion. I think somebody said Keemstar. I think Keemstar can be an ass, but I bet he's probably cool to just chill with. Uh,
Well,
I don't like everything he does. What was that?
I don't have a very good opinion of the Amazing Atheist. When it comes to that, I imagine, I don't know. I think he's kind of got that attitude, but he's got millions.
I really like the softer videos he's done.
Well, I admit,
Somebody
I
said
have to
Teal
be
did.
a fan, by the way. I have to be a fan. Now, this is a long time ago. This is before I even got my start on YouTube. I used to really like The Amazing Atheist. And then I guess it just went off the rails. I don't know why. I do know one of the things that I don't like about him is that very frequently any argument that he makes is considered to be the normal argument of any quote unquote anti SJW. That happens all the time with the Christie crew, where they'll bring up something that TJ Kirk said, and they'll make it seem like everybody on this community believes that, and that's just not true for a lot of that stuff. And that I don't like. I don't like that he's used as a representative for us, almost like the angry MGTOW is used as a representative of MGTOW.
There's a lot of people throwing out names like Teal Deer, who I'm not allowed to talk about.
You're not allowed
Armored.
to talk about?
I may have pissed off all of his fans a few weeks ago.
Oh, really? You didn't
Yeah,
piss me off. I love Field here, but I
he's a
haven't been
jackass.
catching up though.
He's an arrogant jackass who is guilty of the same things that he slams other people for, which I wouldn't have a problem with if he wasn't such a jackass. Now, saying that, I don't know him personally. I've never talked to him. The things I'm talking about here is actually getting to talk to them. I've never talked to TJ. I've never talked to Armored Skeptic.
Yeah, I didn't think about Armored Skeptic. I don't like him either. Just totally truthful.
His videos and stuff, especially the whole clone thing.
Yeah.
Him going on fucking Garrett's live stream and fucking tearing Bearing apart for the same goddamn things June does with her sitting there.
Yeah.
And not pointing out. Yeah, I think he can be an ass, but I bet if you talk to him, he's probably just a normal guy. That doesn't mean I'd necessarily like him, but I would bet he's just a normal guy if you were chatting with him. So there's people whose online personas I don't like, absolutely, but I don't know them to comment on them as people. Now, remember, you got to think about this. I'm the guy who just a moment ago told you that before I got to talk to her, I thought Roaming Millennial was probably a stuck-up bitch.
Yeah, and then you turned out to be wrong, so who knows?
Yeah, so I try not to judge them personally. Though there are exceptions. Somebody said doxing like AIU. I have a big problem with doxing.
Agreed. I guess from my angle, because I did dox myself, so my identity is out there, which, believe me, I don't. When I first did it, I thought, all right, I have nothing to lose, and I don't necessarily, but there's still always a niggling doubt in my mind. Like, for example, I'm trying to get an internship right now, and it's going all right. I should be fine. I'll get one. But like, I can't stop thinking about one particular internship that just never got back to me, and I'm like, did they find my YouTube channel? Is that what happened? Like, what is going on? Why why didn't you say anything? You know what I mean? I've always felt privileged in the sense that I can put my name out there, that I don't need to worry about somebody coming after my children. I ain't got no children. I don't need to worry about Jenny McDermott trying to get me fired. I talked about it with my boss, and that's not going to happen. I don't have to worry about those things, where other people absolutely do have those things to worry about in real life. Maybe you do. Maybe Bearing does. Whatever. They do need to worry about these situations, and that anonymity feels comfortable for them, because I know what it feels like to be out there, and it is nerve-wracking. And I wouldn't, I'm glad that I am out there. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad that I did it. It is also a little bit liberating, but on the other hand, it's not for everybody, and everybody needs to have the right to make that decision when they want to make that decision, because we do live in a world where sorry, I looked at the chat, and there's Mikey. Ranthony said niggling. I love Mikey. Anyway, I'm happy to be in that position where I can do that, but everybody needs to be able to make that decision, because we live in a world in which you can get attacked for wrong think or for wrong speak, and simply speaking your mind is not acceptable to certain people, and they will go after you. And there's too many examples of people who have been gone after and who have had their lives ruined because of something that somebody else disagreed with, whether they made an off-color joke or whatever it was. And it's not, I don't agree at all with doxing. I think you're being a total fucking asshole if you even advocate for it, to be honest. Whether you do it or not, leave people the fuck alone. Okay, I'm done now.
No, you're fine. I absolutely agree with you. Somebody asked what the stream was that I did with Roaming, and I'm trying to find it, and for some reason I can't. Why are I think my videos are out of order here? What the hell?
That's weird.
Yeah, give me a second and I'll find that and link it for you. Um, for me, there was a time where I definitely didn't want my docs out there. When I first started YouTube, I still had my job. It's no longer with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind as much now, but I still have to think about my family.
Right.
And so, yeah, there's reasons not to put your identity out there. And that is a fucked up situation. Absolutely. So anybody, oh, why won't you put your docs out there? Why are you hiding behind? I'm hiding behind a monkey because there are people out there who are fucking assholes who will try to destroy your life over words you said.
Right.
And if you can't get that, then you're just a fucktard, and I don't know what to tell you.
Right. And it is, you know, like I said, I mean, it's liberating in the sense that I'm not going to say anything on my channel that I wouldn't say in real life. And it kind of forces me not to be too much of an asshole in a sense. And that's a good thing to me because, and not that I necessarily would be an asshole if I didn't have my face out there, but probably. But but it forces me to make sure that everything that I say on my channel, I will be able to back up if it came out in real life, you know, well, look, I'm not a Nazi or I'm not a racist or whatever, you know, it does make sure that I keep myself straight. And I appreciate that. And I like that oversight. And I think that it also lends me a little bit of credibility in the sense that I will put my name behind it, you know, and I don't have a problem with that. On the other hand, it is a hell of a lot more, you know, it is a lot scarier to have your name attached to it. It's a lot more awkward, let me tell you. Having people in real life know about my channel, like people at work will just randomly call me Ranthony.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so weird. And you know, it's just not something to be taken lightly. And these people, like AIU, I think, is an example, who are so in favor of doxing, just don't seem to realize how much of a decision it actually is to have your name attached to this. You know.
Well, see, that's part of the problem for me is I think he does know. Um, I don't think you can be on this platform and not know that. I think he doesn't really have a problem with it because his information is out there.
Well, and his right, but he, you know, so his information is out there, but he doesn't have anything. I would say he doesn't have anything to lose for having his information out there, and therefore he figures, well, then it's not acceptable for anybody else to either.
Yeah, and you can say this all day online and people don't have to believe you, but I am exactly the same in real life as I am on here. There is nothing I wouldn't say, but there are times when you wouldn't say it.
Right.
Like with my old,
Wouldn't say it during a job interview.
exactly. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't say it, you know, to my friends, or even if I was asked to speak publicly, I would have no problem repeating everything I've said here.
Right.
Um, but there are so many consequences for it that, look, they're just words, and if you get that upset about words, the person who needs to get offline is you, not
Yep.
not the other one.
But the problem there with doxing is, I mean, like I said, you know, I wouldn't come out, you know, waxing poetic about my opinions on racism in the middle of a job interview.
Yeah,
That's not something that I want people to know about when I'm trying to get a job at wherever. So the thing is, though, that my opinions are out there, and my prospective employer or prospective educator or, you know, institution or whatever, they can find out about it, and I can't control how they receive that information, or, you know, defend it or back it up, or even know whether they found it. That's not. I don't like that. You know.
yeah. Nothing for you here said I don't talk to people in my personal life like I do online. It's amplified in person. I feel you. There are things I have not said on here that I would have said to my friends. But again, there are situations where some things are acceptable that they wouldn't be in other situations. We've almost gone 2 hours, so I think we're going to wrap this up here.
Okay.
Guys, because I desperately need to get a video done, and I have another stream scheduled with
Okay.
Irate Bear here in 3 hours. So,
The bear and I,
guys, if you are not,
too.
if don't talk nice about him on my stream.
Oh, I didn't
Just
exactly
kidding.
talk nice about him. I just said we had to catch up. So how about this? The cunt and I will have to catch up
There
soon.
you go. He actually mentioned that to me when I told him that I was streaming with you. So you two need to get that scheduled.
Okay, we will. He was in here.
Yeah, he was in the chat. I invited him to join us, but he couldn't. He's got the kids, so.
Well, someday he and I have to do a drag stream.
That's what he said.
Yeah,
the drag stream.
So I haven't forgotten, and I guess he hasn't either. So it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, you guys. I don't know when or how, but it's gonna happen.
Data Wasteland is asking when is Cog coming over. I'll have Cog on sometime this week if he wants to come on. I love Cog.
We never had a chat with Cog. I need to.
He's great, and we think very much alike in many respects. But chat, if you are not subscribed to Ranthony, the link is in the description. Make sure you go check it out. He's got a great channel, and go subscribe over there. Ranthony, thank you so much for joining me today. I really love talking to you. I really do.
Well, I appreciate that. You're definitely entertaining to talk to. Thank you for having me on as well. Thank you, chat.
All right, guys. I will see you guys later tonight. And Ranthony, we'll catch up another time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.